Moments podcast. We are so super excited about 2024. It has been an impeccable journey since I started this podcast. I have met so many amazing people, made so many fantastic connections, and learned so many lessons. And this year I decided that the words for Meticulous Moments, our goal, our mission, is to create influence and impact. And we are super excited for the audience members who have been part of this family so far, all the wonderful guests. We thank you for being a part of this journey. Now, today, I have the privilege and the honor to conduct an interview with a legend, with one of my favorite people in the universe, my friend, my brother, Joe Cortez. Welcome to Meticulous Moments, Joe.
Well, thank you, Juanita. It's a pleasure to be on your show today. I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment and the boxing capital of the world. And it's a beautiful day out today, and I'm just happy to be on your show.
Thank you so much. It is tremendously amazing to see how the world is so big and yet it's so small. And I'm super excited for our connection, Joan, to have you on as a guest. And I see that we're both color-coded. We both have red today. So that also shows, we are in the same frame of mind. And you know what I like to do, Joe, when I conduct these interviews, to create that wonderful connection between our guest and the audience, is to speak about, their personal experiences. I wondered, can we start with your childhood? What was your childhood like?
Well, I was born and raised in New York City, in Manhattan, a place called Spanish Harlem. And that is where my mother moved to when she came from Puerto Rico back in 1942. And I was born there in 1943 in New York City. And that's how it all started. My whole career in boxing started there, 99th Street, Park and Madison Avenue. And the rest is history. I mean, it was just been a great career in boxing for me. And I stay out of trouble, stay out of gangs, no drugs, no gangs, no guns, nothing. So it kept me on the right track.
That's a wonderful, wonderful testimony of how, getting into sport and getting in connection with the right people who care about you can really set you up for success, can set you up for that wonderful destiny, to reach that destiny that you have been blessed with. Now, I know in the 60s, you were an amateur boxer, Golden Gloves. Tell us about those days.
Well, back in 1955, I met a gentleman by the name of Gaspar Ortega, who came in from Tijuana, Mexico. He was a professional fighter. He came to New York City, and with his brother Felix, and that's how I all started. I met. I was 12 years old at the time, and then my brother Mike started boxing a year before me. My brother Mike started boxing in 1959, and then I started going to the gym. He's already competing, my brother, but I started going to the gym in 1959. That's when I started my career. My brother Mike was already 1 year into it, doing boxing with the Boys Club of New York. And then I got started in 1960. We both joined the Golden Gloves. And then we both won the New York Golden Glove Championship, Novice Championship. I was the flyweight at the time, and my brother was a featherweight. We both won the championship in Madison Square Garden with over 16,000 fans in Madison Square Garden. That's how we first started our boxing career, winning the Golden Gloves in 1960.
That's fantastic, fantastic. And you went pro, I believe, when you were 18. And that's a very early age. Boxing was definitely always in your blood. I watched an interview where you also talked about going to the army, not fighting in the army per se, but coaching. What was that like, taking that knowledge to, the army and coaching the fellow soldiers?
Well, what happened was that I won the Golden Glove Championships again the following year in the open division. I also won the 2 Spanish Golden Glove Championships, one in 1960 and also 1961. Then I won the Eastern Golden Glove Championship, where I had the privilege of fighting twice the same night. You had to fight twice the same night, semifinals and finals. And I had the luck that I won both fights by knockout in Madison Square Garden that night. And then 2 weeks later, we're fighting for the national championship in Chicago with the Intercity Golden Glove Championship. So my brother Mike and I made history, become the first brothers able to win the National Golden Glove Championship the same night in different weight classes. I was a bantamweight, and my brother was a lightweight champion. Then I turned pro when I was 18, the following year, and then I have 5 fights. My fifth fight I lost in Madison Square Garden, a 6-round decision. I got upset that I lost that fight, and I had lost only 2 fights in the amateurs, 43 wins and 25 knockouts, and 2 losses in the amateurs. Then I had that 1 loss in the pros. So I went in the Army. When I went into the Army, I was only 18 years old, and I was very young. And the team, they had a boxing team in Fort Hood, Texas, where I was doing my advanced infantry training. I did my basic training in Fort Dix, New Jersey. And they wouldn't let me get on the team because they saw that I was already a professional. You cannot fight in the Army when you're a professional on the Army team. So they kept me on as a coach, and I was able to work out on a regular basis. And I was also able to get out on some weekends and do some fights. So I was fortunate enough to have an 18-1 record as a professional when I retired.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. It's sure, I can see that you've always been a history maker, just transcending those boundaries and just doing those things that, some might think is impossible. And I wanted to ask you, as a fighter myself, as a martial artist, I have a favorite win that I reminisce about, that will always be like my favorite fight. It was my favorite win. What was your favorite win? I mean, you had so many knockouts, you had wins. Which fight was your favorite amongst
Well,
those?
well, in the amateurs, I guess my favorite was when I won the Open Championship in New York City. That was my second Golden Glove Championship, and then of course winning the national against Oscar German in Chicago Stadium. Those 2 fights were outstanding in the amateurs for me. And as a professional, I was only fighting preliminary fights. I wasn't really fighting anything big, no big name. That's why I got kind of discouraged. So I kind of quit early in my boxing career because I was not getting the opportunities. I had gotten married, I had 2 children at the time. I needed a better income, so I decided to work. And then after I retired from boxing 7 years later, I came back as a referee.
Fantastic, fantastic. I believe that God guided your steps, Joe.
What's that again? I'm sorry.
I believe that God guided your steps. It happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Yes, yes, yes. It was meant to be. God gave me the opportunity and the blessing to get me out of trouble, get me on the right track, and I did okay by myself. Boxing was meant for me. I mean, maybe not as a world champion in the ring, but I became a world champion in life as a referee.
Yeah. Beautiful. That is a beautiful, beautiful way to put it. And, talking about opponents, was there one that stood out? Was there one that proved to be the most difficult opponent for you in your boxing days?
Well, I never really had any difficult fights in my boxing day because the 2 losses I had in the amateurs, I lost a split decision. 2 judges gave it to me, and 3 to my opponent. That was in Montreal, Canada. That was in 1961. A fighter by the name of Marcel Berfay, a French Canadian. And then my other loss was against another fighter for the finals in the Golden Gloves, and it was Henry Costoso. Henry Costoso, I had beaten him 3 months before, and then in the Golden Gloves in the finals, we fought again, and he beat me the second time around. We had no trainer that year because my trainer got into a car accident. So my brother Mike and I both got to the Golden Glove final. We both lost a very close decision. But I had beaten my opponent, but he didn't give me a tough time. I never got hurt, never got knocked down in my whole career, amateur, professional, and I'd never been stopped. I never really, I can say, I never really took any serious beatings while I was a fighter.
That's an impeccable thing to be able to say. I commend you on that because I believe it's your mindset, Joe. I've worked with you, and we are also busy with other projects that we are going to be talking about. I've watched some of your footage, the reels and the videos out there about you. And I believe that that winning mindset that you have has brought you to this place where you are right now, building that legacy that you are building and touching the lives of many. Now, I know we had a discussion that you started refereeing in 1977, I believe, 1977. And I remember you mentioning a South African referee's name that you kind of watched and learned a few things from. What was his name again? I can't recall that name.
There was a gentleman by the name of Pat Masher who I met, and Pat Masher was a gentleman I was managing. I went to Puerto Rico. I went to work there, and became assistant manager of a hotel. Eventually, after 2 years, I was assistant manager of a hotel, and when I met a guest saw my name on one of the hotel brochures, saw my name, Joe Cortez. He called the operator, and he asked the operator, "Can I speak to Mr. Cortez?" And I got on the phone with him, Pat Masher, and he says, "Sure, it's Pat Masher, and I'm in the lobby of the hotel. I want to know, are you one of the Cortez brothers that fought in New York City in the Golden Glove?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Well, I used to referee your fights in New York City, and I'm a guest at your hotel here." And then I came down. I said hello to him. We greeted. He stayed there about a whole week, and then he said, "You ever come up to New York? Yeah, give me a phone call back." So he gave me his phone number. And so it happened that the following year, after being 8 years in Puerto Rico, I decided to move back. And I gave him a call. I said, "Patty Joe Cortez, I'm back here in New York. You told me to give you a call if I would move back. And here I am." He said, let's go out for lunch. So we went out for lunch one day. Then he was telling me, "Joe, boxing here in New York City, they don't have too many Hispanic referees. And there's only one, Tony Perez, who had refereed Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier." Mm-hmm. And he said, "Joe, we need some more referees here in New York City. You want to get started as a referee?" I said, "How do I do that?" He said, "I'm going to get you started with the Police Athletic League." And the Police Athletic League is a gentleman by the name of Johnny Defoe. And Johnny Defoe was the director of the Police Athletic League. So I called him up. He said, "Yeah, Joe, come on down. Bring white slacks, white pants, and sneakers. And I'll give you a PAL T-shirt. And you're going to referee these young kids, 10, 11, 12 years old." I said, "Okay." I started refereeing those young kids. And then the Golden Glove program was started running around the corner. And he said, "Joe, the Golden Gloves are started. I want to get you signed up for the Golden Glove. Let's see where you go from here." So I started doing the Golden Gloves in New York City in 1977. I remember one night there was a big snowstorm in New York City. And there were 27 fights in Brooklyn, New York. And there was no referee showed up. I was the only referee there. Some judges showed up. So anyway, they said, "Joe, there's no referees here tonight. So you're going to get stuck doing 27 fights yourself." If another referee showed up, good. But no referee ever showed up that night. I did 27 fights. And then they said, "Wow, Joe, you did pretty good, with the 27 fights." They were all beginners, young kids, a lot of knockouts. How to stop the fights. Because they were a novice division. So then what we did was, he said, "Joe, the quarterfinals," I got notified to do the quarterfinal. I got called to do the semifinals. He said, "Joe, you're doing pretty good." And I said, Pat Masher said, "Joe, nobody normally does the quarterfinals, semifinals the first year. You're very lucky." Then I got a notice in the mail that they got me doing the finals, 2 championship fights in the finals. And I did 2 championship fights. And one of them was a great featherweight champion of the world. He turned professionally later. Juan Laporte was one of the fighters. I got to referee him. And then I got a call from the New York State Athletic Commission, a deputy commissioner by the name of Frank Morris. Yeah. Frank Morris called me and said, "You come up to my office. I'd like to talk with you." I was saying to myself, "Why do they want to talk to me? That's professional." He's the director, deputy commissioner for the professional level. I went up there to see him. He said, "Joe, I was going to tell you, I was watching you last week in Madison Square Garden. You're doing those 2 championship fights, and you show a lot of talent. You have a good talent." He said, "I'd like to offer you a position to turn professional." I said, "Mr. Morris, but I've been refereeing for 6 months." He said, "Joe, I'll tell you, I don't want you to waste your time in the amateur. You got the skills to become a good professional referee." So I said, "Will I be getting any work if I get a license?" He said, "I promise you, I'll get you doing all the 4-rounders and 6-rounders on every show we have in New York City." And back in the 70s, they had boxing like twice a week in New York City, sometimes even 3 times a week. Anyway, so he had me refereeing the preliminary fights for the first year. And after about a year and a half, he gave me a first 10-round fight. And that was a main event on television on NBC's Wide World of Sports. And that was the beginning. And then I got a license in New York and New Jersey. And they gave me a license in New Jersey, and I was refereeing New Jersey and New York City. And then I was doing that for a number of years. And in 1982, I get called to do a world championship fight. Wow. That was 5 years after I was a professional. It was Aaron Pryor and Miguel Montilla in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wow. And that was the beginning of my world title fights. I never forget. It was a great night of boxing. Refereeing Aaron Pryor was one of the best in the world at the time, at 140-pound champion. And from then on, everything just went into doing bigger fights, one after the other. And I ended up refereeing from 1977 to 2012, September 2012, my last professional championship fight. Yeah. Last professional fight in all was Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Josecito Lopez. And that was September 2012. And that was my last year, 35 years as a referee professionally. So I retired with 176 world championship fights with over 1,000 professional fights under my belt. So I was honored and blessed. And what can I tell you? I did it all. And I've been in movies as well.
You have, Joe. You have done so many things. And I kept thinking when you talked about that evening when you were the only referee that pitched up, you ref 27 fights. You were in the right place at the right time. And the most important thing about that evening was you showed up. And, how you showed up that evening, let everything else fall into place for the rest of your career. And, you don't only show up, you didn't only show up like that in that sense. When you do something, whether it's a movie or refereeing or projects that you are busy with, you always show up and you do that with authority. And that speaks to the audience, that speaks to people out there, it helps them to develop as well. And I thought about the saying when you were talking about the world championships that you refed. I thought about your saying, "I'm fair, but I'm firm." How did you get to that catchphrase that you are known for?
Well, let me tell you what happened. I was doing an interview on radio, and then I had to listen to it afterwards, and they said, "Joe, what does it take to be a good referee? I mean, you've been doing so many fights." And how do you get started? I told him how I got started. I said, but you have to be fair with the fighters. But by the same token, you have to be firm. So when I was listening, I said, I'm fair, but I'm firm. I said, you got to be fair with the fighters. You got to be firm. So I put it together. I said, I'm fair, but I'm firm. And people say, wow, Joe, those are words that people use every day, but nobody ever put it together the way you did. I said, I'm fair, but I'm firm. When I gave the instructions to the fighters, I said, I want you guys to give me a good, clean fight. I obey my commands at all times. Give me a good, clean fight. And remember, guys, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch him up. And everybody said, wow, but that's really nice. I like that catchphrase. I loved it, and that's what I'm known for. A lot of people call me, hey, Mr. Fair, but firm. How you doing? That's where it's been. That's how it all started.
I really am intrigued with how that happened. And it's true. I've never, ever heard that before. But that phrase was meant for you, because that's how you ref and that's how you conducted yourself. Now, I wanted to talk about a fight that wasn't, that the boxers didn't really behave so well, and that was the Mayweather and the Ortiz fight with the headbutt. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. What happened in that fight? It's a memorable fight for the same simple reason that that was a pretty good fighters, Josecito Lopez. Victor Ortiz was a very, very clean fighter, nice guy. But that night, what happened was he was getting beat by Mayweather in about the 5th round or so around there. He intentionally headbutted Mayweather and cut him, So I called time, And I said, you can't be doing that. So I took 2 points from him for headbutting his opponent intentionally. And then so Victor Ortiz, he hugged Mayweather. He said, I'm sorry, I apologize. Gave him a kiss. Then he apologized again, gave him another hug. I said, all right. I said, I did the signal time in with my hand. I said, time in. When I went time, he went again to hug him again. And Mayweather said, the referee says, time in. I'm not going to go hugging again. This is not a love contest. So anyway, so when he went to hug him again, Mayweather clocked him with a left and a right and knocked him out. And everybody started booing like, you know what, Joe, that was illegal. That was illegal because he went to hug him. And people say in boxing, you got to keep your guards up at all times.
Yes.
Yep. And Larry, the commentator, said it best. He said it was a legal sucker punch. It was. That's. You got to protect yourself at all times. Keep your guards up. People didn't like it. He was, Joe, you're a lousy referee. How you gonna let Mayweather get away with that? Because everybody, Mayweather's not a fan favorite. They don't really like him that much. And what he did that night, they really hated him even more so because they thought it was illegal, but it was actually legal, but it was a sucker punch. When somebody comes to hug you and you say time was in, and he didn't want to hug anymore. So he bang, bang. And so Mayweather was criticized really bad, and so was I. And people, it's been over 12, 13 years ago, and people still bring it up. They remember that fight. And Joe, you were the referee. He knows what happened. I would say keep your guards up all times.
That's it. Because I agree with you, Joe. Because when you walk into that ring, you are in the war zone, and every boxer knows you have to be vigilant at all times. Your hands have to be up, and he just took his chance. He took his chance. He gave the 2 hugs, and it was a boxing match. So on that point, I believe that he just took that gap. It was a sucker punch, but it was a boxing match. So looking back at that, I think it's going to be something that people will talk about for years to come. And it's a lesson in that, keep your hands up and always be vigilant, keep your eyes open. And now you've reffed matches between with Holyfield, Floyd Mayweather. I know there's Bakia, there's Holm, Lewis, Oscar de la Hoya. Are there any memorable fights that you have that you think about when I called out those names?
Yes, I like the Roberto Duran, Iran Barkley fight for the middleweight championship of the world. Iran Barkley he just finished knocking out Tommy Hearns. Well, prior to that, him knocking out Tommy Hearns had fought Roberto Duran, and Roberto Duran got knocked out by Tommy Hearns. And so nobody really gave Roberto Duran, who was 35 years of age at the time, then they gave him a chance against Iran Barkley. But he shocked the world by not only beating Barkley, but he also put Barkley down in the 11th round. Wow. And he won a split decision. But Roberto Duran became middleweight champion of the world. When he first started out, he was a lightweight champion, then a junior welterweight 140, then 147, then 154, then become middleweight champion of the world. So he won several championships. And he was one of the best fighters out there. That fight with Iran Barkley, if you fans want to watch a good fight on YouTube, put on Iran Barkley versus Roberto Duran. Those 12 rounds were war. Every round got better and better and better. It was a great fight. So that's one of my most memorable fights. And of course, the second one is when George Foreman knocked out Michael Moore for the heavyweight championship. Michael Moore was heavyweight champion. And George Foreman was making a comeback after he had retired for 10 years. He came back and was fighting and worked his way back up to fight for the championship against Michael Moore. And George Foreman knocked out Michael Moore in the 10th round. George Foreman was losing every round, by a small margin, but he was able to withstand the punches. He didn't get hurt. I was always checking him in the corner because he was 45 years of age. I just went there to make sure he was all right. And in the 10th round, he caught Michael Moore with a left hook, got a straight right hand punch, and put Michael Moore on his back. And I started counting over Michael Moore. 5, 6, 7. When I was at 7, I said to myself, wait a minute, I don't think the guy gonna get up. 8, 9, I said 10. That was it. Michael Moore got it out, and it was an amazing fight for George Foreman. It was a punch heard around the world. I mean, there was a guy that was 45 years of age. Nobody gave him a chance, but he did it, becoming 2-time heavyweight champion of the world.
Fantastic, fantastic. And it's so intriguing to hear that you remember every detail of every fight. You know, there was a lot of fights that you reffed, and you remember they are etched into your memory banks, and they left a lasting impression. I think you learned so many lessons in that ring about the sport, about humanity, about good sportsmanship, and the opposite. And you were talking about, boxers that are very good at slipping and bobbing and weaving. And one of those that I think is an amazing, you will always be a legend in my heart and in many other fans' hearts, is Mike Tyson. Now, I'm thinking back to Mike Tyson's last fight. He was already 38 when he fought McBride. And I know McBride kind of punched first, but he missed. And that's what I loved about Mike Tyson. He was always so, and I'm sure he's just as fast today. Always good at the slipping, always good at the bobbing and weaving. Not a very tall, big guy, but an excellent boxer. Let's talk about his last fight. I know Muhammad Ali went to his locker room before the fight and, took a photo with him. But what happened that day? Because I only lasted 6 rounds.
Yeah, well, let me tell you that was when he fought Kevin McBride. That was in Washington, D.C., and that was my last fight. But I had refereed Mike Tyson 7 times before that.
Wow.
Yeah, when he knocked out Larry Holmes, that was a big win for him. And Larry Holmes had beaten Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali always told him, he was upset that he got stopped by Larry Holmes. And in the dressing room before the Kevin McBride fight, Mike Tyson's last fight, Muhammad Ali was there. He came into the dressing room and he told Mike Tyson, "I want you to kick his butt in that ring tonight because, I want some revenge. I want you to beat him really good tonight." And Mike Tyson said, "Okay." So anyway, Mike Tyson went out there and he was doing okay the first round, second round, But Kevin McBride, a tall Irish fighter, who had a good height on him, had a good long reach, had a good long jab. He was boxing Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson started getting tired by the 4th round, 5th round. Mike Tyson got really he fighting a little dirty, but I gave Mike some. Then he headbutted Kevin McBride. He cut Kevin McBride. I took 2 points from Mike Tyson for headbutting Kevin McBride. That was in the 6th round. And then at the end of the 6th round, with the bell sounded, Kevin McBride kind of pushed Mike Tyson down. Mike Tyson fell to the canvas, and the bell rang. And I was waiting for Mike Tyson to get up. I can't help him. So he got up on his own. Took him a little while to get up. He got up about 10 seconds after he got pushed down. It was not a knockdown. But anyway, he got up. I walk him to the corner. As I'm walking him to the corner, I can see his trainer, Jeff Fennick, who was his trainer. Jeff Fennick is a former featherweight champion from Australia. He was Mike Tyson's trainer at that particular fight. And when I was walking to the corner, I see Jeff Fennick looked at me and Mike Tyson's condition. I just waved it off. I said, "That's it." We stopped it at the end of the 6th round. And then Mike Tyson just felt that was it. He said, "I can't beat this guy. I don't belong in." But he said, "I don't have the hunger anymore to be a fighter." And he retired that night. That was his last fight. Mike Tyson, a great champion, great fighter. He was one of the most dangerous boxers in the heavyweight division. And there hasn't been no fighter like him around. Very good fighter. He wasn't that big, but he was smart and knew how to move real good. He was quick, had a lot of speed, good lateral movement in the ring, and know when it went to take you out, he was knocking out most of his opponents in 1 or 2 rounds. He was a very devastating puncher.
Absolutely, I agree. He's one of the legends that we'll always remember. He was always so good at slipping and bobbing and weaving. I'll never forget how fast he was, his footwork. I watch his YouTube videos as well, where he teaches up-and-coming students as well, how he did his footwork. And I see that they give a lot of good feedback. So he's definitely paying it forward out there. his speech at the end was heartwarming, and it also, resonated with me that he had done his best in his career and he just didn't want to continue anymore, just didn't have it in him. But that makes him a super awesome, humble legend still. And we take our hat off to you, Mike Tyson. You are definitely a role model for everyone out there that want to be a winner, that want to be a champion. I wanted to ask you, Joe, personal and professional development, we've talked about that before as well. How has your career as a boxer and then going to the army and then becoming a referee, how has that developed you personally and professionally?
Well, let me tell you, my career has been very, very positive because, I mean, boxing opened the doors for me. It kept me on the right track. I'm able to utilize my name and my fame to help out other individuals out there, because I feel like boxing taught me a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
Taught me a lot of self-esteem, my confidence level. I've been able to do so many things, but I believe now that I'm retired, it's time to pay it forward and help other individuals out there, because it's not about Joe Cortez anymore. It's about what Joe Cortez can do to help you get to another level. And I love doing that. My thing is caring for people. I've always loved everybody out there, whether you're a youngster or an elder senior. I love to help out wherever I can. I think God gave me that position to be a referee, because that opened a lot of doors for me to be able to help out so many people. So I think that boxing was really my calling. Like I said before, not a champion in the ring, but a champion outside the ring.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, Joe. And to the audience members, Joe is also starting new projects, and we are blessed to be a part of it. Myself as well, and my fiance Kevin Oliver. Joe Cortez started the Joe Cortez Show, the Happy Hour Show, guys. We are dropping that episode today, and it is an amazing, amazing project that's going to change so many lives, Joe. And thank you for that initiative. Thank you for all the love and the positivity that you spread out there. Would you like to tell the audience what that project is about?
Sure. Well, we have the show called the Joe Cortez Show, the Happy Hour, and it got to do with the helping the youngsters out there. I have a friend, Kevin Oliver, who lost two sons to violence. I said one to guns, and the other one to fentanyl drugs. And meeting Kevin Oliver last year in Atlantic City at the Hall of Fame, we got to meet there, and we got to talk a little bit, and then getting some more information about what happened in his life. I felt I want to help him out, and he told me he's starting a program to get these kids back on the right track. So we created a show, including yourself, Juanita, to help out with this program with the with Kevin Oliver. And you guys can see on the bottom of the screen their website where you can go to get more information about the fentanyl drugs and putting the guns down, which is a great program. And we're going to be doing this, Kevin, yourself, and myself. So we want the viewers to know this show will be on every Friday. Today will be the first show. Later on this afternoon, you'll be able to watch the show and the Joe Cortez Happy Hour, and you'll see what we're talking about. We're trying to create this program to keeping the kids off the streets, keep them out of gangs, away from drugs and whatnot. Together be, and that's why I'm a role model, because I can say I didn't do none of that. And boxing got me on the right track to stay away from drugs and gangs. And so we want to do the same for kids out there today. And we have had to come out to a junior, could also be, and some other fighters going to be coming on board. We're going to have guests on the show talking about different programs and different things to keep these kids on the right track. We don't want to see our children get destroyed by gun violence or drugs. It's too much of it happening these days, and we had to put a stop to it. So Kevin, Oliver, yourself, and myself, I put the show together to do this every Friday to educate the youngsters. And pretty soon we'll be having more information, the location where they can go to train at. But we want everybody around the world that's watching the show to try to create this program The same thing, follow our footsteps, what we're doing, and also become part of our group. With the fentanyl and drugs, keep the guns down and off drugs. We want to do this on a weekly. We want other gyms to start the program just like us. You can become part of our team, so you can give more information to our youth out there to get them on the right track. I think the show that we'll be doing, and you'll be seeing later on today on the Joe Cortez show, will be about getting these kids on the right track. They need help, and I'm there to come for the rescue along with Juanita and Kevin.
Absolutely, absolutely, Joe. I'm super blessed to be a part of it as well. And I know these wonderful things that are going to transpire from it. We are going to make a very big positive impact out there. We're going to bring upliftment, meticulous. When I started this podcast, the slogan has always been community upliftment through leadership development. And we are going to be raising up those fighters, those leaders, and the next generation, because they are our future. Thank you so much. I have one last question for you. I know you made special time for the show today. And I just wanted to ask you if you had any words of wisdom to share with the audience, what would they be?
Well, like I say, is that I want to see the parents, the loved ones. You got the children. Try to get them all together. Have more harmony and understanding. Pay attention to your children and try to guide them in the right direction. The way my mother, I come from a broken home too. My mother, she had 3 boys by herself, and she was able to guide us in the right direction. And I think that more parents will get more involved and keep the kids away from hanging out late at night. If late at night in the streets, they don't want to bring them only trouble. They're going to get involved with gangs or with drugs. So try to keep your kids active, keep them involved in sports, get them involved with whether it was basketball, football, boxing, tennis, hockey, whatever it is. Any sport, keep them active. Just like Kevin Oliver will be doing there in Missouri in the very near future. We have a big location opening up, and we're going to start showing individuals how to live life the right way.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joe. It was a wonderful session. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your experience, your journey with us. I know the audience is edified. You are my brother. You're my friend. You are a legend, and God loves you. And I'm super excited for everything that's going to transpire. Thank you for making the time today and being an excellent guest. Oes.
And remember, guys, keep your guards up at all times. Take care. God bless.
Take care, guys. Thank you. This is Juanita Kapp from Meticulous Moments signing out with the amazing Joe Cortez. See you in the next session. Goodbye.